All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. He is the current sheriff of Sumter County. So without further ado, I want to welcome Sheriff Pat Breeden. Pat, welcome to the show, buddy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Staying busy, but doing good.
Staying busy? I bet you are. That's all I can say. How's your summer going?
It's going good. It's hot, but enjoying it.
Yeah.
Trying to take a little time with the family and just doing some things, but work keeps me busy.
Gotcha. How's the job? How's the job going?
Job is great. The job is a blessing. We live in a great community, so we truly do, and I'm humbled to be able to be the sheriff of this community. But it does keep me busy, and it's nonstop. But I knew that coming in, and I enjoy what I do.
Pat, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think I've ever told you this, and I'm going to tell you right on the air here. I like your style. You're a no nonsense guy, and that's the way that a sheriff should be. I mean, you are don't get me wrong, people. He is a very nice person. He's very nice. I've always never heard a bad thing about him. I've never said a bad thing about you. All good things. But I do like, and I'm encouraged by your leadership for our sheriff's department. Not that anybody else has ever done a bad job. I'm just saying, I just like your style. And I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I just try to be me. So
yeah. Well, that's all we can be, man. You can't be anybody else. Yeah. You got to be yourself. And a lot of people in a world where a lot of people just want to be friends with people, and they don't want to be the bad guy. Yeah. But sometimes you got to be the guy in charge. Is not always the coolest guy.
Unfortunately, social media and all that, you see it. I have to make decisions that people don't like and people don't agree with, and this is a job you're never going to make everybody happy in. So
absolutely, I
do what's right for the community. I do what's right for my employees and my deputies, and just try to live right.
So, for every guest that I have on, I always want to get a little background on them, a little bio.
Yeah.
So are you I don't know that much about you, so that's why I'm glad that you're on here today. Are you a native, born and raised here, or are you a transplant?
No, I was born and raised right here in Sumter County. I graduated South Sumter High School. From there, I began law enforcement academy. I grew up working in Burns Market all through high school right there. It used to be a local grocery store. Got my college degree while I was working, and been here all my life. So.
Nice. Yeah, it helps. It's very helpful that when you have somebody local, they become the sheriff or the mayor, or and not knocking on anybody who comes from out of town, or they could come from another county. Yeah. But it's better, I think, better rapport with the people. If you have somebody that's been here and they know the area, they know the people, and they know how everything's run, you know what I mean? It's
good to know your community. It's good to know how your community functions, and it's really helped me out because, I do know a lot of people, and I do know what goes on in the community, so I'm able to, and I enjoy helping the community. We're big on community outreach here at the Sheriff's Office, and that's part of being able to help the youth and being able to help programs we have, so I really enjoy it. And that's the great part of the job, is helping the community. It's not always about locking the bad guy up.
Right.
It's about what we can do to help the community, and I truly believe in that. And I have a great community outreach program. Most people know Beth Hunt. She's a local around here, and she does an amazing job with our community stuff. So.
Yeah, I think you guys do a great job with the community as well, it's not like other counties where we are still. I mean, even though, despite what people want to think, we are still a small county.
Yes.
Maybe not numbers-wise, but like town-wise, like some of the towns, excluding our neighbors to the north.
Right.
But the smaller towns in the county, we're still a rural area versus Miami-Dade or Tampa or Jacksonville or Orlando.
Yeah. And people often ask me, what is your biggest struggle of coming in as the new sheriff? I've been with the agency since I was 19 years old, but they say, as a sheriff, what's your biggest struggle? When I started at the sheriff's office, there was only about 2 of us working road patrol. Now there's a bunch of us. And the growth is my biggest problem, is keeping up with the growth of the county, because we're one of the fastest growing counties out there. And so it's just unbelievable, keeping up with that is a challenge.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're right about the growth part, because every day it seems like I can drive down 471 and I just keep seeing it being everything changing like right in front of our eyes. But with change, a lot of people are afraid of change, but sometimes change is good, but it comes with a greater responsibility when you add more people here.
It does, and it's more people means more traffic, and that's the number one complaint I get is every day somebody will ask me, what are you doing about the speeders? We write a lot of tickets, we do a lot of traffic enforcement, but there's only so many deputies, and I've got a population of 200,000 in the county, so I'm kind of a unique county because I have just about as many golf carts on the road as I do vehicles, so it's kind of a unique county to work traffic in.
Yeah.
So.
I'll tell you a story. One time I was in the old Spanish Springs. I think it was Spanish Springs. It was over the older side. And something happened. There was a guy on a golf cart. And there was a deputy on a golf cart. And he just said, pull over. And I'll never forget that, because I'm like, what is like back in the day, instead of turning the sirens on, just like, hey, pull over. Yeah, I need you to pull over right now.
Yeah.
Having said that, growing up in this community and the way you went through, the rankings, because you started off as, like you said, a road deputy. Tell us a little bit more about your journey to becoming a sheriff. I mean, what inspired you to pursue that career? I mean, was that something you always wanted to be? Like, when kids are little, they want to be cops and robbers or, whatever. Is that something you always grew up with, or no?
I never started this career thinking that one day I'm going to be sitting in the sheriff's seat. I started, basically, I needed a job. And some of my best friends, we were at school one day, and back then Sumter County didn't have a lot of job opportunities. So I'd always been interested in law enforcement because my father at the time had a job to where he dealt with some of the local law enforcement, and I seen him at school and stuff, and I was impressed with the local law enforcement. So I wound up going to police academy. I started my career in the detention center. Did that for 3 years, then moved to road patrol, and I loved it. And I worked under Sheriff Farmer for a long time. He was sheriff for 28 years. And I grew to love the agency. I grew to love the community. And I was set to retire, to be honest with you. I had my years in. I could retire if I wanted to. And I didn't know what was going to happen with the sheriff after he retired. He announced he was going to retire, and I said, I think I'm in a spot where I could run for sheriff. And me and another guy both talked about it. And the other guy says, look, we'd both been at the agency for long careers. And he says, I don't want to run for sheriff. He says, I'm going to stay doing the job I do at the sheriff's office. And we talked about it, and I said, I love the community. I love working for the community. So that's kind of how I went into the role of deciding to run for sheriff. And here I am today, and I'm loving it, and I hope to continue doing it for a while, and because I still, I'm young, I still want to continue to serve. I tell myself, if I retire, what am I going to do? I might be bored because all my other buddies are working, and you can only fish and do so much, you know what I mean? But no, it never started as, hey, I'm going to be the sheriff one day. And I'd had some people that approached me because I was local here, and they said, are you going to run for sheriff one day? And I said, that's a long time away. I don't know. And it all worked out. So the good Lord said, hey, you're going to be the sheriff. So I left it in his hands.
And that's the thing is we all have these goals and ambitions and stuff to kind of lay out this road, our dreams per se, and growing up. And it's funny, like when you ask somebody how they got to their, to this certain point in their life, their journey. It's crazy how sometimes, if this hadn't happened, and people think, well, some people say they planned it that way, but I highly disagree. I don't think that was actually planned at all. I think it was just, you were on the right map for the good Lord. He was trying to put you in places. And
I am. And I can tell you, I didn't particularly plan to be the sheriff. I guess this was I don't want to use the word destiny, but I guess it worked out just right that I took the training, I did the courses, I did the time, and when the time come available, I was just in the right spot at the right time and decided I want to do it.
Yeah.
It's a job you got to want to do because it's more than just a job. It's a dedication to the community. And so I stay busy, I stay on the go, but I truly enjoy it.
Like when you wake up in the morning, what's a typical day for the sheriff? I mean, a lot of people are wondering because can all we can relate to, and this is going to sound weird, but all we can relate to is movies, like old westerns, because go get the sheriff. He was the one that you always got. The deputies never seemed like they could do anything, but the sheriff was the one who, you had like Gunsmoke. You had your main guy there that just took care of everything. Yeah, and without him, it was crazy.
And I've got great people in a lot of my ranking positions, but as a daily sheriff, I still believe that you should be able to reach out to your local sheriff. A lot of the bigger cities and all that, you may have a complaint or something and you never get to see the sheriff or talk to the sheriff. Yeah. You talk to a captain, a major, somebody like that, and they handle it. And my captains and majors still, they handle a lot of stuff for me, but I believe in a lot of people out there have my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. I get phone calls all the time about, hey, can you help me with this? And that's my job, and that's what I'm here for. So I remain, and I took that from Sheriff Farmer, be accessible to your people, because they're the people that put you in that position. So I'm always accessible. I have an open door policy, but I get up, I go to work just like anybody else, and I get to the office and I see what the day's problems are. I see what we've got to deal with that day, and it's never the same thing every day. I laugh a lot of times because back when I was a road patrol deputy and all that, it was go out there, write a ticket, arrest the bad guy, go home. Nowadays, it's as an administrator, you're like, man, what did my employees mess up today? Or what do I got to deal with as far as employee-wise, or what complaints have I got, or stuff like that. But so we have a briefing every morning with my command staff, and we start our day from there as to what we need to deal with throughout the day, and then whatever's on my calendar as far as meetings or anything like that. But so I stay on the go between meetings and dealing with personnel issues and budget issues. Right now, we just finished up and turned in our budget, so we deal with a lot of budgetary stuff. So it's just kind of steering the ship.
Do you ever wish you could go back to be a road deputy some days because you feel like you could just pass the buck? Like, hey, look, that's out of my hands. I mean, you need to go talk to the sheriff at this point.
Oh yeah, that was the nice thing about that. Is, hey, I was a road deputy. I went home at the end of my 12-hour shift, and I didn't have to worry about it till I come back. So, but I enjoy being a road deputy, but I enjoy what I'm doing now. And I wouldn't want to go back to being, as I get older, I worked a lot of night shift. I wouldn't want to go back to being a road deputy. I did enjoy it, but that's past tense now. I'm liking what I'm doing. And but road patrol was, it was fun. So.
Well, it was also probably a different time, though.
It was a different time.
I mean, I hate to sound like that, sound like a 90-year-old man, but it was a different time when I was growing up. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a different time. You didn't. I mean, I always get on the conversation with just to show you how much things have changed. Go look at a 1970s or 60s or 80s sitcom, and what they thought was something that you couldn't talk to people about or taboo. You're like, oh my gosh, that's not even, are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but to go from that point of view from that era to now, I think we lose sight of how long it took to progress.
Yeah.
Because you talk about, just say that was 30, 40 years ago, in the 80s it'd be 40 years ago. Well, look how long it took but look at all the stuff that we gained.
Oh yeah.
In the long run, during that process.
Well, when I got into a patrol car back then, we didn't have a computer. You had a radio in your car, and you had a portable that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't work because there was only so many towers in Sumter County. So maybe they could reach you, maybe they couldn't. To now, to where every vehicle has a computer, GPS. Yeah. We have body cameras, car cameras. Just so much technology now compared to what we had back then. Back then, you had a flashlight, a portable, like I say, may or may not work, and your handgun, and there you go. Go handle the calls. And you had one dispatcher dispatching you. And so times have definitely changed. Technology has definitely changed for the better. I mean, it keeps the deputy safe and it helps, but it's different working now than it was back then. So.
What are some of the biggest responsibilities you feel like, this is your personal opinion, what is some of the biggest responsibilities that you have of being sheriff? What are some of those in your mind?
It's keeping up with my community and doing what I can to keep the community safe. I'm always looking at new programs we can add on to help, anything we can do to benefit the public. When I come in as sheriff, I started what we call a Sumter Safe program, and I urge everybody to take a look at it because it offers a lot of I call them non-traditional program because it's not the traditional law enforcement that you think where we're going out and we're arresting the bad guy or we're writing a ticket. It's stuff outside of law enforcement to where, like the Vial of Life, just stuff that if medics show up, they can know your medical history and stuff like that. A lot of different programs, but and community outreach. I push community outreach a lot because I feel that a lot of people don't care what their sheriff's office does. They just, if they call a deputy, they want to see a deputy show up. But we're more than that. We want to, I believe if we can reach out to the children now and build a rapport with the children, that changes their lives later down the road in a positive way. So we're big on community outreach, and we're big on our children in the community, helping them do everything we can.
That's a great point, because there's a lot of misconception with law enforcement. I mean, there's always, and it doesn't matter where you are, there's always good people and bad people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's law enforcement, it doesn't matter if you work for a multi-billion-dollar company. There's going to be people that do their job and there's people that don't do their job.
Right.
And that's just the way it goes across the board. But there's a lot of people that have law enforcement is a little bit different because it affects everybody.
Yep.
Your multi-million-dollar company won't affect but so many people. But law enforcement has ties to everybody.
Yep.
So I think it's very beneficial for people to be more educated. And like you said, at a younger age, to where they can understand what's going on, that they need help, and instead of turning to other alternate ways, they can try to make that a better outcome.
Yeah, and that one meeting they have with a deputy sheriff as a young child or whatever, how you handle that meeting could affect how they move forward in their life. And I'm not a storyteller. I'm not a war storyteller. I don't get into stuff I've dealt with, but it was years ago, and our National Night Out event we have. We have it every year at the fairgrounds. It's coming up in October, so I urge everybody to come to that because it is a great community event. But years ago as a young deputy, me and he's now Major Galvin, John Galvin, got into a pursuit. We chased this guy all over the place, a stolen car and all that. We wound up arresting the guy, long story short, and I had a K-9 back then. My K-9 went down and caught him and all that. And he was very mad at the time because we caught him and arrested him, but I treated him with dignity, respect, and like a human being. And, some 20 years later, he come up to me at National Night Out and says, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "Sir, I sure don't." And he hugged me, and I'm like, uh-oh. So he says, "You probably saved my life," because he said, "I was going down a bad road." He said, "But you treated me right. You treated me with respect."
Yeah.
He said, "I'm married now. I got a great job. I'm doing my thing with religion." He says, and he thanked me. And that's why we do this job, is because that touched my heart. I'm like, man, I made a difference, and I didn't even know I made a difference. I thought I just put a bad guy in jail. And turns out years later, that he's saying I saved his life. So, and every deputy out there has some story like that if they're doing their job correctly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it's about.
Well, I think everybody just wants to be treated like a human being.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not very hard to ask for. I mean, and it shouldn't be asked for. It should just be implied.
Yeah.
But I get that there are some scenarios where somebody is not willing to cooperate like they should because they may be under some kind of influence or whatever, and they're disorient or whatever. But it's very refreshing to hear that you still took the time to treat this guy like he was like he would have been your brother or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. But there's a lot of people that I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of good things about the law enforcement, and I think that to me that overshadows all the bad things. And I say bad things. You know what I'm saying by bad things, because a lot of it's just hearsay. There's a lot of incidences where it's a lot of misunderstanding, or they get half the story and they go, well, and all they hear is law enforcement. Yeah. And that's all it takes.
Well, in communities, deputies, law enforcement, correctional officers, we're held to a higher standard, as we should be, because, when you put on that badge, you're given a lot of power because you can take people's freedoms away, and you got to treat that with respect. But there is bad apples in anything we do, and I fully believe in, I try to weed those bad apples out because, people say, well, you do the background checks and all that, but, everybody can pass a background check, but you really don't know the nature of a person till you get them in there and actually see what they're doing. But not everybody, and I always tell everybody, not everybody, just because you go to jail, yeah, you messed up, you made a mistake, but that don't make you a bad person. Don't let you make a trip to jail define who you really are.
Right.
Now, some people are truly bad individuals that need to be locked up and probably throw the key away and never let them out. But some people just make mistakes in life, they learn from it, and they move on, and they're very productive members of society.
Yep.
And we try to offer them programs, and that's why we try to treat people with dignity. And we try to help them out. Once they're in our detention center, we have programs to try to help them and keep them on the right path. So
I think if everybody understood the same concept, that if we all were either arrested or taken in for something we've done bad, we would all be in jail.
Right.
You know, because nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
And so I think that, you know, when a lot of people feel misunderstood because if they say they did go to jail and it was, you know, it just could be something, and they were, you know, the one example I was talking about is I was watching a show, and I know this is just a show, but it's an example. There's a show of how this judge there was an arrest file, and they were making a big deal about it. And they were going to involve the press and everything because this judge had an arrest file. Yeah. What did he do? What did he do? And it ended up being he stole a car when he was 16 or 14 or whatever. And they're like, they were all like, "That's it."
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, we thought it was going to be something good, you know. But what I'm saying is, even a court judge can mess up and still go on the right path to help people.
Yep. We're all human beings, and you know. You've probably been there. I know I've been there. I'm not admitting to nothing, obviously, but no.
Thank God they didn't have cell phones back then.
As teenagers, all young, we've all probably had alcohol underage or done something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, so people make mistakes. They,
absolutely.
You know, some just get caught, some don't. But you know, the thing is, learn from your mistakes. That doesn't make you a bad guy.
No.
Mistakes is what, you know, makes you better in life. Sometimes I think you learn from your mistakes and. You live life a little bit.
Well, yeah, you live life a little bit. You learn what works and what doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's how we got here in the first place. If somebody would just say, "Hey, we're just going to sit under this tree for the rest of our life," they never would have made anything of themselves. But
hey, some of my best deputies are deputies that lived life when they were younger. You know, we run around together. We had a good time.
Yeah.
They're some of my best deputies because they've lived life. They know what to look for. They know how it works. Not that they were bad people. They just, you know. They had a good time and lived life, and so.
Well, that brings up to another question. Like, how do you gain trust of your deputies and the community? Like, how do you like you're saying, like, you know these people very well, and that's a good thing because that helps you maintain that trust that you're going to be able to lead them wherever they need to go in the right direction.
It's interaction, man. We just got to be. The deputies have to be approachable. I've started some programs. One of them we just did the other day, and I've been doing it for a while now. It's called Dining with a Deputy. We pick certain restaurants. Matter of fact, we've been to Catfish Johnny's before. And, you know, shout out to them. They've let us in there, and we'll go to these restaurants, and we'll just come have a meal with a deputy. We'll sit there and eat and just chat with us.
Yeah.
I have people from the corrections department come in. I have people from road patrol come in. Ask us anything you want to ask us, and just meet your deputy. And it shows, you know, we're human beings just like you are. Yep. We're just doing a job that has a lot of responsibility to it. I try to do community town hall meetings. We do one in Lake Pennsauken. We do one up in the community of Royal, where it's not always me going to it. Because they want to see and meet my deputies. So I'll have deputies. We do citizens academies to where we come in and we tell about all facets of the sheriff's office and what we do and what program. And most people realize, man, we didn't know the Sumter County Sheriff's Office had programs like this and stuff like this. They just see the green and white riding down the road and they don't know the inner workings. And that's what we want people to see is what we actually do above and beyond just our law enforcement functions. So being in the community is one way we try to strengthen it, and just you've got to speak to the people. You can't just ride around and not have any contact with your community.
Yeah, hitting on that point you just said about, and that's a great thing that you guys do about the eating with the deputies. But I always, in my head, this is so funny. Every time I see you guys there, like I'll go to Catfish Johnny's, I'll walk in and there's like 10, you know, whatever, 7 guys in there. I go, well, nobody's robbing this place. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's the wrong place to. Yep. But just jokingly, I'm like, you know, but it's a good thing that you guys are doing, and that I love it because I love seeing it. I'll see it on Facebook. You guys will go to some of the places in the villages and you know, all over town, and you know, Catfish Johnny's especially. Yeah. But that's a great thing because the more you are able to, show the community that you adapt and you're not, people put law enforcement so high. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in a way they should be, because they're there to protect and they're there to serve. But you've also got people that go, well, I don't know if I can call them because I don't know if, you know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like they hold them too much accountable where, like you said, you guys are human. We're all human. So it's like, once you realize that.
Well, and I had a meeting with some of my staff and some of my detectives yesterday because we had an unfortunate incident happen. We are human. We make mistakes. We're held to a higher standard. And I'll be honest with you, there's a certain percentage of public that waits and wants to see law enforcement fail.
Oh, yeah.
So they can eat us up on Facebook or wherever they want to, just try to destroy us on social media. But we show that we come back, we rebound. I don't hide nothing. I'm very transparent. If we mess up, I own that we messed up, and I don't say, well, we messed up. I look at what can I do to make it right, and what can I do to fix it, and how do I build here so this don't happen again.
Right.
And that's what I do. And I put policies and procedures in place. But I also tell my deputies and detectives and correction officers, you have to govern yourself to a point, because you are wearing that badge. And I have over 400 employees. I can't watch every single employee and know what they're doing. And I'm not a micromanager. You're an adult, and I give you a badge and a gun. Be an adult, govern yourself, and the policy and procedures, and let's move forward and do the community and serve the community like we're supposed to.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing because, there's nothing worse than being an adult and having somebody watch over you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So.
I've had some incidences where I've had a couple people in my job career watch, kind of hover, and I would always joke and go, hey, if I want somebody to watch me that close, I'll commit a crime.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I mean that would be understandable at the time. Yeah. But right now, I'm not, and I'm a very capable and functioning adult where I can do the job without you having to sit there and babysit me.
Well, then my deputy sheriffs have a lot of freedom because they're in a patrol car working a zone. They're traveling all throughout the county. There's no way that somebody's always watching what they're doing. So I have to put my trust in my hiring procedures and my people that I hire and the people that do the hiring procedures to try to judge these people the best they can, and that they're going to do the job we expect them to do, and they're out there actually doing the job and not messing up. So,
as far as resumes go and stuff, when you hire a new hire, I think you should spend a day or so with them. Do a ride along. Yeah. I know that's probably not the way it should be, but in my opinion, because a piece of paper doesn't really, that's not going to tell you about the person. Yeah, it can show the credentials. I'm not taking away from anybody. Please don't.
Yeah.
I don't want hate mail. But that's not going to show you who they truly are. Yep. And because people will show you who they are, whether it's good or bad.
Yep.
And you have to. I'm a really good judge of character. I can meet somebody and go, they're probably one of the nicest people I ever met. And then I can meet somebody and go, all right, there's just something missing. I don't know quite what it is. Maybe it's just like a sixth sense or whatever. But I try to eliminate stuff like that where putting yourself in a bad predicament. And
one thing I started doing, especially, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings here, but with my younger people that come in, because I have a lot of I was 19 when I started, so and I look back and say, man, was I that young and look that young when I come in? I have a lot of young people that come in, want to be deputy sheriffs. I make them do a mandatory ride-along, sometimes more than one, with a deputy to see what they're getting into. Because I've had people that we hired, and they look great on paper, they interviewed well. You put them out there that first couple of times in a patrol car, and they're riding around with their field training officer or whatever, and they see their first dead body or something, and I've had them quit right there. Just say, look, I can't do this. Yeah. I didn't know this was part of the job. They see cops on TV, and they think it's all adrenaline and excitement, and then you get hours of paperwork, or you get an unfortunate car crash where somebody's been killed or something. I've had them walk off the job and just say they can't do it. And I don't want to hurt feelings, like I say, but a lot of young people nowadays, they don't communicate. They can't have a one-on-one conversation. They have it on a cell phone. Their text, their social media. sometimes it's a great opportunity. I started in the corrections center when I started, and that was a blessing because you learn to talk to people. And when I was a patrol deputy back then, you didn't have backup, around every corner. I wasn't the biggest guy on the street, so there was, you learned your verbal judo versus, because you learn to talk to people and you learn to have a conversation. And
looking for a true look into Old Florida? Come experience the excitement at the Sumter County Farmers Market, featuring our flea market and cattle auction in small town Webster. Shop hundreds of vendors offering antiques, fresh produce, tools, clothing, and collectibles, plants, and one-of-a-kind treasures you'll never know you'll find. And don't forget the action-packed cattle auction, where buyers and sellers gather each week as part of one of Florida's most respected livestock markets. From quality cattle to honest service and a strong market atmosphere, we're proud to serve Florida's agricultural community. Whether you're hunting for bargains, stocking up on fresh goods, expanding your herd, or just enjoying a day out with family and friends, there's something for everyone at the Sumter County Farmers Market. Come see why people from all over Florida make Webster their destination every week.
If you want an energy drink that tastes like a reward, check out Big B Energy Drinks. 3 delicious flavors: strawberry smash, white cherry fizz, and summer melon. Super refreshing, super smooth. It hits the caffeine sweet spot, 80 milligrams per can, made for the people who want something more than soda, but don't need the 300 milligrams energy drink full of jitters. It has a smooth onset with no crash at the end. And the best part, no artificial colors. It's the kind of energy drink that you grab on the way to work, before the gym, or anytime you need to lock in and get something done. Take a sip, thoughtfully crafted, masterfully mixed. You can order online at bigbenergy.com. Use promo code GOBLAY10 to save 10% at checkout.
Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, served at Lake Panasoffkee and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 34 years, we have strived to serve great food at good prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our wings and burgers are the best around. We have our daily specials too. We are open Wednesday through Saturday. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information.
Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. Stitching Heifers is your one-stop shop for embroidered and printed hats, custom patch hats, and trending graphic tees that can be fully customized for you, your company, or your next big event. Whether you need a single design or a whole company's worth of branded gear, they've got you covered. Come see us at 110 Bushnell Plaza in Bushnell. Shop in-store or browse online anytime at thestitchingheifers.com.
Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Panasoffkee's only craft beer tap room, offering 12 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beer, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub food. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untappd app.
Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. If you're looking for real fun and adrenaline in Central Florida, head out to Bushnell Motorsports Park. It's a real outdoor go-karting track in Bushnell with high-speed rental karts that anyone can drive, no experience needed. You show up, they get you geared up, and you're racing. It's a great day to go out with friends, a great date, a great way to spend an afternoon. The high-speed karts are available to anyone 16 and older, and the junior karts are for anyone 10 and older. It's also one of the top spots in the area for corporate events and private parties, birthdays, bachelor parties, team building days, and company outings. They handle the whole thing. Track time, meeting room, trophies, the whole works. To learn more or to plan your race, visit BushnellMotorsportsPark.com. That's BushnellMotorsportsPark.com. You're absolutely right about the younger generation, and I'm not knocking them either, but it's hard to have the conversation because they're not used to that.
Right.
And it's nothing they've done, it's what they haven't done.
Right.
And that's the difference. Instead of pointing out a major, like negativity towards it, it's just something that they're not accustomed to. I mean, you have someone that my 5-year-old nephew can use an iPad.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, or a phone. And it's like, I know 50, 60-year-olds that can't use a phone or a tablet, and they're like, I don't know how to figure this thing out. It's just something like when my grandfather was getting older, computers were starting to come out, and they were getting more popular, and they were getting smaller, and all these gadgets and stuff, and it scared him to death.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was not having it, because this is a man who could fix anything with his hands. We always said my granddad could fix anything but a wristwatch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think the lack of social skills, they call it that's the best part. They call it social media,
Yeah.
but there's no social skills whatsoever.
Nothing social about it.
No, it should be like technology media or something like that. That sounds like a double negative, but it's not. Social's not even in the word.
Yeah. I have found that people are a lot braver on Facebook as far as comments than they would be in person. So I have to laugh at all the time. They're brave on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's funny. But as we do our interviews, it's kind of funny because I got one of my majors that one of the questions he asks these young people, and he'll look at them straight and say, "Hey, have you ever been punched in the mouth?" And they'll look at you like, "I've never been in a fight or had confrontation in my life." I said, "You want to be a deputy sheriff?" We grew up, you had a little fight here and there, you had arguments and stuff, but a lot of the younger people nowadays, if they've had confrontation, it's on. So,
Yep.
As a deputy sheriff, you're going to have confrontation. You're going to be out there in a tussle. It's just part of the job, and you're going to have people yell at you, people unhappy with you. So, and I don't like throwing that young person into that without them ever having done it. So that's why I have them do a ride along. We have a lengthy FTO program that they have to ride with another officer so they can get accustomed to this, and we do some other training and everything. And this job is training all the time. You never stop training. Even me, as I've been doing this for 36 years now, I learn new stuff every day, and I have to go to training the next couple of days. So it's always nonstop training.
I think if everybody would just accept the fact that they don't know everything, I think we would get so much, not just more done, but everybody would get along better. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Pat, I'll be the first to tell you I don't know everything, and I got no problem telling you that.
Yeah.
Mainly because either I don't know and I don't want to get somebody hurt, or vice versa, I don't know and I don't want to look stupid, so I'll just tell you I don't know. And that'll be 100% truth.
That's me. I'll tell you I don't know, but I'll find you the answer.
Yes.
And that's why I have a command staff that we meet every morning. And we laugh when we call it the brain trust, and we ask who brought the brain today. But but anyway, we'll sit around and we'll discuss all the problems. And, being in my first term as sheriff, I often will reach out to other more experienced sheriffs that have been doing it for a long time and say, "Sheriff, I've got this situation. What would you do? Or give me some options." And I have attorneys and I have legal advice. So I'm not that guy that's, that I poke my chest out and say, "I know everything. Nobody's going to tell me what to do." I'm like, I don't know everything, and, help me. So
yeah, and it also helps if you as a leader, if you were, to more or less be humble, because I mean, if you don't know everything, then you can't poke your chest out. But nobody wants that in a leader. They just want somebody to tell them, hey, guys, trust me. I always think of a leader as a quarterback. Yeah. That's the leader of the offense. So. He's getting the play. He's telling everybody what to do. Everybody's got their assignments. But without that call and his decision making, nothing they do will work. I mean, they could. It might, but it's not going to work like it's supposed to. Right. So a lot of people, when they get in that role, sometimes they tend to forget that. Look, you got people that you work with every day, and there are people in my life that I would run through a brick wall for. Yeah, and that's the way that's the relationship you want with someone that is leading you. Yeah. So that would be what I would,
Well, you got to have your trust in somebody that's leading you, because absolutely, like me growing up in the agency, I had supervisors that I knew were, man, I would run through the door with that guy any day. And I knew the advice he was giving me was right. He was humble and he was accurate. And I had several different. We had a lot of great supervisors. And I had other supervisors like, okay, I don't have my faith in that person so much as I do this other person. So,
well, to piggyback on that, what did you learn any leadership lessons from those people where you're growing up? Like, did you make mental notes on your way up? Like, hey, look, because this is the way I think. I always think about, it's almost like, when Thomas Edison made the light bulb. Yeah. He didn't look at it like I failed 1,000 times. He just figured out 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Right. So that I always take that in perspective or consideration. I always go, what do I not want to do the same thing next time? You know what I mean?
And growing up through this career, I've had that supervisor. And maybe I didn't realize it at the time, but I took away from something that they did, and I said, okay, that's a good way to do it. Yeah. That's made me have my trust in. It's like we all have that one school teacher we remember back in the school days, and that left a lasting impact on our life and our career. And that's kind of the way I've done it with the sheriff's office. I've always had, the couple of supervisors or something that I took something from and realized, okay, this will benefit me later on in life. So I kind of equate it to that, and it's not just one individual. I took it from a multitude of people because there's a variety of things at work. Right.
Well, I've always said it takes a village.
It takes a village
to raise somebody, and I think there's a lot of, and I think it's great to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, hodgepodge or whatever they call it, like of all different ideas. That's what makes us America, by the way. Yep. I mean, if we have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and we're all together, it brings the best out of everybody. So I think having a little bit of, if you had like 5 or 6 people that you wanted to emulate, and helped, I don't want to say groom, but you know what I'm saying, helped shape you who you are. Yeah. I think that speaks volumes. I mean, if you can have, I think you're very lucky if you can have somebody that, 5 or 6 people, like I said, in your life that'll make you a better person.
Yeah. Well, and I took a combination of it all and I made it my own, and I still do my way, but I utilize stuff I've learned in the past. Yeah. And like every sheriff before me has kind of left their legacy on the agency, and I'm not trying to do away with their legacy because there's a lot of great stuff they left, but I'm also trying to build my legacy for the agency. And I've learned from past sheriffs, and I've learned from past supervisors, and I've kind of rolled it into a big ball, so to speak, and I've made it my own, and I've put my touch on it. Yeah. So, and made it work for my personality and the way I like to lead. Right. So, and I think it's working so far. Yeah. But I also tell my people, I don't want yes men. I don't want people to just show to work and say, you're the sheriff, I want people that say, Sheriff, that's probably not a good idea. Or, Sheriff, we're messing up here. Or, Sheriff, we need to look at it this way. I don't look for yes men in my agency. I look for people, I look for professionalism and a chain of command, but I also look for people that talk to me and tell me, say, hey, there's probably a better way, Sheriff. Can we talk about it? And
well, there's nothing worse than after something goes wrong, you go, well, I was going to tell you that. And you're like, well, why didn't you say something?
Why didn't you say something? Now I'm on the news.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're on the news explaining what happened that may not have happened if you would have just spoke up.
Yep.
You know.
So,
You know, we were talking about, you know, our community's getting bigger and the county is expanding per se as population wise.
yeah.
What are some of the biggest public safety challenges in the county right now? Like that you feel like that you guys are either implementing in some kind of futuristic plan or that you're dealing with right now?
You know, Sumter County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. All of Florida's growing fast, and we actually have a very low violent crime rate. We average 1 homicide a year, maybe 2, and it's typically not a random homicide. It's a drug-related homicide or something like that. But 2 of the biggest issues that I see all the time is obviously dealing with drug-related issues and traffic-related issues. The county's increasing in traffic crashes, traffic fatalities, because there's more people on the road. And I use this term all the time when I talk to people about this. The amount of traffic on the road has grew, but the roads have not. The infrastructure is not keeping up with the amount of traffic that's out there. So I'm very proactive with my traffic units. I have dedicated traffic units, motorcycle units to go out there and work, and I've implemented technology that tells me actually where some of my problem areas are, that, hey, you know, we've got a lot of speed on this road that day, and I listen to citizen complaints, and I make it mandatory that at least once a month or a couple times a month, I call it what I call a wolf pack. I'll put my traffic unit together all at one time, and State Road 50 has been a prime example of where we had an increase in crashes, and I've had an increase in complaints. So I'll send 7 or 8 patrol cars down that day, and we will just work State Road 50 that day. And it's not to punish, it's to educate.
Right.
Not everybody gets a ticket. We write warnings, but we want the people to see us there. That the way next time they drive through, they may be, man, last time there was a bunch of cops here. I'm going to do the speed limit. And that's what it's about, is education. But that's our number one problem is, obviously we deal with a lot of domestic incidents. And that's one of the most dangerous calls a deputy sheriff can go on. And I've seen an increase in, some steps I've taken is I've created a crisis intervention team, because I've seen an increase in mental distress cases.
Yep.
We've had to do a lot of Baker Acts. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of stress in their life, and they have some mental stuff going on that we have to help deal with, and there's an increase in that. Those are very often very dangerous calls. So
I was going to say, all those that you mentioned are well, I mean, you got to think about, with the growing population, obviously traffic is going to be bad.
Right.
The speeding part, I get. It's the people that drive crazy that I don't get. I mean, I understand, but if it's 55 miles an hour on 301 and I'm doing 60 and you're on my butt,
yeah,
that'll drive, dude, that drives me insane.
Yeah.
And I can't. I'm like,
yeah.
and there's people in front of you. You're like, where are you gonna go?
Yeah, and then it's kind of funny because you laugh because you pull up at the red light at the same time they did after they pass you. But this super speeder law that just came into effect, we've made several arrests off of it.
Yeah.
And
for those who don't know about the super speeder law, can you explain that to everybody?
Super speeder law is simply, it's a free trip to jail. If you're caught doing over 100 miles per hour or anything 50 miles an hour over the speed limit, is an automatic trip to jail.
Wow.
And that's the super speeder law. Now, 30 miles an hour with the posted speed limit, you get a court date or whatever, you get a citation. But super speeder law violation is you're going to go to jail.
Wow, that's like
cars towed, you're going to jail.
That's like doing 85 in Webster.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't imagine somebody being in that big of a hurry.
They do it. They do it all the time.
Oh my God.
And we don't. And the ones we don't get out there and target them on the interstate. They're on local back roads.
Yes.
So, and that's
don't even get me started about 75, brother. Let me tell you, 70.
I hate, man, you can count on Friday to Sunday, you're going to be backed up on 75 somewhere. I don't even go to Ocala anymore just because I take the back roads.
Pat, my job is the courier for the school board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I drive a lot. Okay. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm on the road all the time. Every other day. And it changes.
Yeah.
Every other day. But I have learned to take this road and that road, and that's just something I've always done, because I drove to Orlando for 16 plus years, back and forth. I knew every cut. you want to talk about every, like, knowing the back of your hand.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I know every cutoff road, this road, toll road, anything.
Yep. So
Going back to that area, like, just like 301 north of Coleman is awful.
I hit it every day, starting at Sumterville.
Yes.
And it's gotten a little better once they kind of added some extra lanes under the turnpike there, and that did help.
It did help.
And I'm not saying the state and county's not trying.
No.
But you can only build so fast.
That is true. That is true.
You can't build as fast as people are moving in.
No.
So, and that's part of the problem. So they're trying. Everything, I assume, costs money, and I don't know that side of the house. You know, I do law enforcement. They do traffic and roads. So, but as a sheriff, I see how it affects me, and there's a lot of cars on the road, and there's not enough road to handle all the cars sometimes.
Well, I've also noticed in the past years, you've got a new, you've got the civilian, the traffic enforcer, or what's the official title?
Civilian traffic investigators, and what they do for me is, I can hire them in. They're less pay rate than a deputy sheriff is, and they're not high risk, and they're not certified, so I can get them on the road faster. They don't require all the training that a deputy sheriff has to go to, because we train them we train them in-house, and they strictly work traffic accidents. And what that does is, now short of they don't work fatalities or anything like that, but probably 90% of the traffic crashes they can work, and it allows I call them gun-toting deputies, to be actually on proactive patrol.
Right.
And they can work that accident scene and leave my actual deputy to be back out on the road doing what they need to do. So, and it's really helped us out, and it saved us a lot of money. So that's a good thing.
Now, let me ask you this, since you're the man to ask, and just to educate, because I'm all about educating, but a lot of people see that car and they go, whatever, and they just floor it, right? Because they don't think that, but they can issue you a ticket. Is that correct?
The civilian traffic?
Yes.
They cannot.
They cannot. Okay.
They cannot.
Okay.
They are civilians. They can issue a ticket involving the wreck.
I got you.
They cannot issue a criminal citation. They have to call a deputy to do that.
Gotcha.
Say if you got in a wreck and your license is suspended,
or there's a warrant.
Or there's a warrant or something.
Right.
They cannot serve warrants. They are strictly civilian, so they can't stop you for speeding or nothing like that.
Is there any?
Matter of fact, the lights on their car are yellow. They're not even not red blue lights.
Well, yeah, but still, out of respect, you should.
Yeah. Out of respect, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. But.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But is there such a thing as citizen's arrest? Is that a real thing?
It is, but it's so hard to do. Man, you're gonna put me down a road.
Well, no, you don't have to go down that road.
Yeah,
but
no.
the only reason why I ask that is because I've seen.
You got to be very careful with it. It's a lot to prove it, a lot to do it. I don't recommend people try to do it.
No, it's dangerous.
Yes, and
can you imagine? You're like this guy looks like he's suspicious. Let me pull a Gomer Pyle here with citizen's arrest, and it doesn't end well.
And I'm going to touch on, because it kind of falls under citizen's arrest. Florida's very liberal on gun carry laws. Mm-hmm. You can carry your gun just like I'm carrying my gun today. You can carry it open on your side with certain restrictions. I tell people two things. Just because you can carry a gun don't mean you should carry a gun.
Right.
Get some training. We offer training for that. But sometimes people may interject themselves into situations. Say you go to the sports complex and somebody's up there arguing and you're carrying a gun. You got to know when to use that gun. If they start getting in a fist fight or something and you draw your gun out, you may be justified criminally or something, but people don't realize the civil side of it. You're going to get sued, and you put yourself in that. You put yourself in the light to where you could possibly be charged criminally. There's a fine line you walk when you choose to use deadly force or when you choose to have a weapon on you. So educate yourself if you're going to choose to carry. I carry concealed all the time everywhere I go, well, obviously with my job and everything. But I urge people, get educated on what you're doing, and don't use it unless it's a last resort and you're trying to save a life. Just because you got a gun don't mean you need to display your gun.
And that's why I brought that. Well, I kind of went toward that road, is because a lot of people are not informed. They just assume, they read it, kind of like when we go on the ballot. When we go to vote for something, and it's like, say no to Amendment 3. Well, we don't even know what Amendment 3 really is, because they make it sound like it's not what they're wanting you to do. And they're saying, no, you don't want to vote for that. But really, it's the opposite. Normally, it's the opposite of what you want to do. But a lot of people, I've seen people, and at first it's a little alarming.
Yeah.
Because you're like, dude, that guy's got a gun. But you forget that there is open carry. But like you said, it's not necessarily the smartest thing either, because there's no element of surprise. I mean, if somebody knows you're armed, the first thing they're going to do is go ahead and try to disarm you.
If I walk into a place and I'm going to rob a place and I say, okay, I know he has a firearm, you're the guy I'm taking out first if I'm robbing that place. I'm a proponent of concealed carry. Let's face it, not everybody likes guns. I like guns. Everybody carry a gun. You have the right to protect yourself. Not everybody has the same outlook I do.
True.
A lot of people don't like guns. They're afraid of guns, and it kind of triggers them if they see somebody carrying a gun in a public restaurant or something. So I urge concealed carry, and I urge educated carry.
Yes.
Know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Know your weapon. And just be safe with it, and know your legalities on it. So
I think the biggest thing about guns is, in my opinion, this is my opinion, is that people are either very, very misinformed about what they are able to do, or they've never been around them, so they don't know much about them. And the fear of the unknown is very it's real. Where if it's something that you're not accustomed to. And that's why we fear change. Because we don't know what's going to happen. So in the same sense, if something like that, a new law where, you are able to carry, but I will tell you this, whether or not I choose to carry, which I don't even own a gun, but what I'm saying is, if you have somebody walk in, what's the difference between if you walked into the restaurant or if somebody else had a gun in a restaurant, but you didn't know that. What I'm saying is there's that sense of peace that somebody's not going to run in here and try to do something illegal, take out a robbery or something in place.
And everywhere we go every day with Florida being the way it is on carry, I guarantee you there's not a day you walk into Walmart, there's not a day you walk into Aldi's, there's not a day you walk in a convenience store, somebody's not carrying a gun. Everybody in Sumter County pretty much just about owns a gun. So and I've seen that really, I think since this open carry law has been enacted, I've seen one person open carry, and most people carry concealed. So it's really not taking off like people thought it was going to be. And it's not the wild, wild west. Everybody's not out there carrying open carry. Now, a lot of people carry concealed, and which is great, but there's people, they're not just carrying open carry like we thought it was going to be. So, and that's a good thing. I like that.
A lot of people, and I've talked to several people that are, either have weapons or whatever, and a lot of them talk about, you try to do things the right way, and it just takes forever. But then you got people that can come off the street. You know what I mean? Like I can go to a flea market and buy a gun. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying anything bad about that. But what I'm saying is the difference between, and I know that's a personal purchase and not like somebody that's got an establishment or whatever, and I understand the whole process. But what I'm saying is sometimes the rules and regulations are kind of like, it's like a locked door is not to keep the honest people out. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that. Do you see what I'm saying though?
And a lot of people are anti-gun and all this, and we need to make this illegal, or we need to abolish this. And I tell them all the time, okay, drugs are illegal. Everybody still has drugs. If they want to have drugs. If you take the guns out of the good guys' hands, the bad guys are still going to have guns because they're bad guys. But there's really no restrictions on, if you go to an establishment or you go to a gun store, you have to do the proper paperwork and all that. But if you come to my house today and you've seen a gun in my safe and you said, man, I really like that gun. I said, well, Billy, that gun's for sale. I'll sell it to you for $100. You give me $100 and I give you a gun. So, and there's no restrictions on it. Now, I always do recommend it people, if they do them transaction like that, to get a bill of sale from that
Right.
person and make sure it's a person they actually know.
You don't want them using it in a crime.
Get a bill of sale, and if they have any doubts, you can contact us at the sheriff's office, and we'll run the number for you and make sure it's not a stolen gun or something, because we want to keep the guns off the street like that. So, but Florida's not very restrictive on gun sales, as far as if you're outside of an establishment, as far as you're private and public, there's a difference.
Have you, speaking of the topic of firearms, have you ever heard I think it's Orange County that does this. They do kicks for guns. Have you ever seen that or heard that?
I've heard of it, but I don't really know.
So basically it's a amnesty where they go, hey, you bring us a gun. You bring us a gun, and we'll give you a pair of shoes.
Give you a pair of shoes.
Yep. And then they said, I would hear it. I used to listen to real radio all the time, and the Monsters in the Morning would do that all the time. They'd be at Kicks for Guns, and you're like, if you didn't know anything about it, you're like, Kicks for Guns? What are they talking about? And but they've done it for so many years. I don't know if they still do it, but I think it's a great thing to get, because they're worried about gang violence and stuff like that, like kids getting guns. Yeah, and I'm not laughing, joking, but I'm just saying, like, I hope a kid doesn't show up. He's got a Glock in his hand. He's like, hey, I need a pair of Nikes or whatever. No, but majority of the time it's their parents and or people that have either found a gun or
getting rid of it,
or it might be stolen. And they don't want to get in trouble. So would that be something that you what do you think about something like that?
It's a great program, and thought. My personal opinion is, if they really want to keep their gun, the bad guy, they're still going to keep their gun.
True.
They may come in turning a gun to you that they found, or it's not their main gun, but they're going to give you a gun to get a free pair of shoes. So it's productive. It does get guns off the street, and that one gun you get off the street could have been the one that got in the wrong hands. So I wouldn't down that program at all. So I think it would be a great program, and if you did it right and was able to get any gun you take off the street and keep it out of a bad guy's hands, that's a win.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.